Welcome back into the channel. I told you we had a lot of things brewing here. It's finally football time. Football season, week 1, Chiefs, Ravens, and consider this a new segment we got Kevin Ostreicher on the other side. But you see Kevin, we got former Super Bowl champion, former Baltimore Raven wide receiver, Qadry Ismail joining us, and Q. You also go by Q. That's probably the simpler one.
Yes.
But you know what? It's football time. And first off, this is something I know it's talk as a player. Like, I know the preseason, I know training camp, but you live for the start of the regular season. You get those butterflies when you played?
I look at it this way. When you talk about regular season versus preseason is how you prepare yourself and all that. I always felt I was prepared, but that regular season is where the test comes in. That's the fun of it all. That's why you work your butt off in 2-a-days, and now they got 1-a-day practices. But yeah, this is the real deal. And I think from a Ravens perspective, just what they did last year to kind of, tease the fan base as to like, man, we were that close. How are they going to do this year? Their schedule is going to be a murderer's row of just really awesome teams. And I think let's get it on. Let's stop talking about it. And I can't wait till Thursday.
Well, and there it is. And not only are they going to get it on, it's with the team that knocked him out of the postseason. Back in Kansas City, the 2-time defending champion, Kansas City Chiefs. Ravens are going to match up. But we're going to talk a little bit of keys here. But let's just open it up here. I think it's fair to say, gentlemen, Kev, the Ravens, a successful season isn't about, we're just going to get back to the AFC Championship game. They got to win it. Like, if you don't win, it feels like a missed opportunity.
Yeah, they have bigger goals in the AFC Championship game. It was nice to see them make it for the first time since they won the Super Bowl. But the big thing with this Ravens team is they're going to be judged on the playoffs, right? This is about not what you can do in the regular season. We know the Ravens are a good regular season team. They have been historically, have been under John Harbaugh, but this is an opportunity not to take revenge for last year. I mean, that year's gone. What happened. What you can do this year, and Roquan Smith said it during his media availability, Chiefs are in the way of what they want to do this year, in the way of a great start. So you can go 1-0, you can get off to that start. And, the past is the past, but they have an opportunity to write a different future this year. And it's an exciting aspect of the season for them.
And Q, the Ravens, you've been around, you've seen it, you've analyzed it, you played it. It's a organization that has a lot of culture and they have a lot of structure, but obviously there probably is a teetering point where, I'm not saying it's put up or shut up, but it's been now 12 years. The Ravens feel like they've had multiple chances. Not going to say it's a fire drill situation, but I feel like you can sense the urgency for this 2024 season.
Yeah, I like that word, urgency. I think if you do look at the history of the Baltimore Ravens, they have been that team that competed extremely well to get to the postseason. You have a quarterback in Lamar Jackson that's a 2-time league MVP. Last year, you thought this team was it. It's built. It's ready. Let's go. Get past the Kansas City Chiefs, compete for a Super Bowl championship, and hoist up another Lombardi. I think because of the disappointment of the AFC Championship game, having that number 1 seed, I think this year, yes, it's not quite the team. The staff, whether it be Denard, now as a defensive coordinator down in Carolina. You look at Anthony Weaver, he's down, defensive coordinator down in Miami. Mike McDonald, he's over in Seattle as a head coach. That's a different defensive look. Zach Orr takes over. What is he going to be like? What are going to be some of the bumps in the road, if you will, for the defense? The offensive line looks different. And we're talking about the legacy of Lamar Jackson. Wherever Lamar is going to land as far as the pantheons of QBs, it comes down to whether or not he wins a Super Bowl championship. And I think this year it has to be a mindset for this entire team of a Super Bowl or bust.
And you know what? I'm going to slam my laptop on that. Hey, now, because I think the conversation, it gets irritating for a while that the media, Kevin, we talk about it. I feel like almost every single show, there's criticism towards Lamar Jackson. But as you know, Q, you just mentioned, that's what's going to come down to for him. He's already proven that he can be an MVP. He's done it twice. He's already proven that he can get a team to the playoffs. He's proven he can get to the AFC Championship game, but he's not going to get maybe the respect on his name unless he hoists that Lombardi. And that's just the reality of it.
Well, it's interesting. Since he's gotten into the league, I mean, it's just been constant criticism. Everything he does, it's under a microscope. He's a very polarizing quarterback. But I think for him to avoid all the outside distractions, Kevin talked about it as far as his regular season record. It's unreal. It's amazing. But you do have Patrick Mahomes. You have for a little hot secondary within, the ending of Tom Brady's era. But you do have, Patrick Mahomes sitting there as a multiple Super Bowl champion. You got other guys like Allen up in Buffalo, like Hurts over in Philly, although he is in the NFC. But you do have, guys in your own division like Burrow, like Deshaun Watson, although, he doesn't necessarily have quite the resume that Lamar Jackson do. But you're talking about quarterbacks that are established, that are upper tier quarterbacks. And for Lamar Jackson, it has to be about, yes, avoid the noise, avoid the regular season issues, and address what is the elephant in the room. It's what do I need to do to put this team over the hump and literally go and absolutely win. It's not just about going, but it's about going back down to New Orleans this year. Talk about the 12-year absence, but it's about going back down to New Orleans this year and winning it. Whoever they face over in the NFC, so be it. Winning it, period. That's what he talked about as far as getting here to this point, and I think he has the opportunity to do so.
Yep, you got to get there. You got to win it. Doesn't matter who you face. And I feel confident. If the Ravens get to the Super Bowl, guys, I mean, why wouldn't you be confident? They were confident last year. It felt like every team, especially that 49ers team, they mowed right through them. But Kansas City, just things weren't coming together for a lot of different reasons. You can say it's the identity in the postseason that they lost the run game. But other parts is just maybe it's trying to be ready for the moment. Maybe Baltimore will be ready for this moment this time around. Kev, I think the other storylines before we get into a couple keys is just, I mean, Q, you touched on it, the shifts, on defense. You're having Zach Orr take over, first-time defensive coordinator, and he's loved in Baltimore, and I'm excited to see his defense. But then also second year of Todd Monken offense, where's the evolution going to be?
Yeah, and part of it, too, is I think just consistency, where last season we saw there were a lot of stretches, especially early in the season for Todd Monken and that group, where they either started really fast and then kind of fell off and cooled off as the game went on, or they started pretty slow and they found their rhythm as the game went on. And I kind of expect that to be a bit more of a consistent line this season with a bunch of higher highs, where you're able to go out there and do your thing. And the players have talked about it. Monken himself has talked about it as well, where sometimes it just takes a little time to get acclimated to your new, players that get acclimated to a new coach and a new system. But now that you know a little bit more about each other, you can go into it's Todd Monken's first full offseason with the team. You add Derrick Henry. You are hopeful to get a great year from Zay Flowers in year 2, Rashad Bateman as well. So I expect big things from this offense, especially because you also factor in other guys that should step up, like Isaiah Likely and some of these packages that they can run. I think the sky's the limit for this offense this year.
And I think the other part that Todd Monken's going to have to figure out, Q, is how do you get both Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely firing on all cylinders in the same game? It really feels like if both of them are healthy, it's the Mark Andrews show. And I mean, he's a stud. He's one of the best in the business at the tight end position. But if he goes out, Isaiah Likely becomes Superman. So how do you think that can figure out here? Because although the Ravens have a lot of good pieces, it's clear that their two tight ends can be arguably two of the best and definitely probably the best tight end room in all football.
Yeah, I think their tight end room is absolutely one of the strongest, if not the strongest, from top to bottom. I think when you look at the Ravens offense, I don't believe it's going to be that big of a challenge to have that personnel package in the game. It really comes down to this. If you are running the ball, it changes what the defense is going to do. They're going to try to stop it. Therefore, you're going to have opportunities to go ahead and pick your poison. Am I going to, bring attention over to Mark Andrews? Am I going to bring attention over to Isaiah Likely? Then you look at the outside guys. Well, you got Zay Flowers, what he did, and of course, Rashad Bateman and his presence as a receiver. a lot of weapons, a lot of opportunity for Lamar. I think the biggest elephant in the room is what is the offensive line going to do? Voorhees, Linderbaum, Rosengarten. What are those guys, Fa'alele, and then, of course, Ronnie Stanley, who I thought had an amazing offseason. So I think he's poised to have an amazing season to kind of reestablish himself as a top-tier guy. But, bro, without question, I think if the offensive line does their thing, let Derrick Henry eat and watch guys like the two-headed monster at the tight end position just decimate teams. I think that's going to be really the telltale sign.
Well, I think that's what you're getting me all fired up here, Q, but that's what Ravens fans want to see. They see the playmakers on the field, and they might not be getting the national recognition, but Isaiah Likely, I just keep thinking back. I know it's not the traditional because you have to go back to the Patriots with Gronkowski and Hernandez, where it was something that maybe was unprecedented, but man, it was extremely tough to defend. And if you got two of your playmakers as tight ends, figure out how to use them. But you mentioned offensive line, Q. Kevin, let's get into some keys to the game then for this specific Ravens Chiefs. And that's probably where you wanted to start this conversation.
Yeah, not only keys to the game, but keys to the season is the offensive line. They lose 60% of their starters, and it wasn't just these mid-tier offensive linemen. I mean, Kevin Zeitler is one of the most consistent players in this league. Morgan Moses, when he was healthy, was able to make a huge impact. And John Simpson, I mean, I don't think a lot of was expected of him last season, but he ended up playing a lot higher of a standard than people thought he was going to. So you replace those guys with young guys. Andrew Voorhees, after a technical redshirt season off of the ACL tear he had in the combine, he's going to probably be their left guard. He got right guard and right tackle on that right side. There are a bunch of options they can choose from. The unofficial depth chart has it at Daniel Fa'alele and Patrick McCary, but there's also Roger Rosengarten in that equation. There's also Ben Cleveland in that equation. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do because they're facing not only a bunch of great pass rushers and outside linebackers, but in the interior, this game in particular, Chris Jones has to be the guy you key in on here. Double teams, chips, whatever it is to get him off of his spots and to keep him away from Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and that Ravens offense.
Well, and there's the point right there. You mentioned Chris Jones, game wrecker, and Q, priority for this game. Where is it to stop or neutralize Chris Jones and this Chiefs defense? Where does that stand?
I think it has to be priority number one. Tyler Linderbaum had his issues in camp as far as his neck, and hopefully he's back healthy. I know he had a strong week of practice, but he's such a force in the interior. And you're talking about Voorhees, who's a rookie. You're talking about Linderbaum, who, while he's that right tackle, you can look at Fa'alele. So what Steve Spagnuolo is going to do is he's going to put a lot of guys in the box, and it's about whether or not you can identify where Chris Jones is at and what blocking scheme is going to be effective against him. I think that is the priority because now you're looking at a lighter, faster, more nimble Lamar Jackson, which kind of makes me smile because I think it's just going to be so much easier for Lamar to have that escapability, which again adds another element to this Ravens offense. The second year in Todd Monken's, the mad scientist, the evil genius mind as the coordinator.
Well, if we can see that Lamar Jackson, the Houdini-esque play against Cincy, and you know what? Improvisation is a key part of the game because who also does that really well? Patrick Mahomes on the other side, where it just feels like it's backyard football, make something happen. But Lamar Jackson, we know when he gets going, he's hard to be stopped. He's hard to be brought down, and that's what you need. But I'm with you guys. Chris Jones, if you can neutralize him and you can run the football against the Chiefs, things are going to be in your favor. You can run the football all year. Baltimore is going to be just fine here. And we know the Ravens are going to have their hands full with the Chiefs offense. No doubt about it. They have some speedsters that they added. Xavier Worthy. Hollywood Brown is not going to be playing in this game, but they also then have Rashee Rice, who developed well, came on at the end of the season. And then they still have Travis Kelce. And in my mind, Andy Reid still has to be the offensive guru. That combo of him and Mahomes is lethal with it. But I think we have an understanding. And actually, Q, for our viewers here, I think we don't want to give too much away, but I think we're going to take it to the board because there's some specifics that Baltimore has dealt with. And specifically, we'll look back to that AFC Championship game, what the Chiefs did against Baltimore. We'll also then look at what the Bills continue to try to do and how a new piece for the Ravens can be an X factor, and two pieces that were on their roster last year that could make a big step and be key components to why not only the Ravens beat this Chiefs team, guys, but can continue to go and conquer that Super Bowl. So stay tuned.